Jeff, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today, Chris?
I am doing wonderful. We have another small business showcase here with Jeff Wisdom with Planet Smart Development. He has been in the Houston area for some time now. Jeff, why don't you do us a favor, introduce yourself and introduce your business?
So my name is Jeff Wisdom. I'm the Vice President of Sales and Construction Phase Services for Planet Smart Development. We are a general contractor focused on primarily on residential construction, anything from ground up new construction built on your lot, custom to interior renovations, kitchen, bathroom, flooring, painting, even um, we even deal with insurance negotiations and uh, damage repairs for those that have been affected with damages and just don't know who to turn to get the work done.
Wonderful. And so yeah, I've had a chance to speak with you for some time now on some of the projects that you've done in the past. Before we get into that, before you became an all-star contractor builder and getting into construction, what's been your experience with the city of Houston? Were you born here? Did you move here? What was your history?
So I was born out in Abilene, Texas. That's about 5 hours away from here. My family moved to Houston when I was two. So even though I wasn't born here, I got here as fast as I could. Um, Growing up, my dad was a chemical engineer. My mom was a CPA. Um, so I grew up with a very mathematical mindset. Um, and I just putting things together, seeing the way things are assembled, designing them, and just kind of really integrating things and making things work has always made me tick. If you ask my mom, she'd say that as a kid, if I couldn't be outside on my bike or in the pool, I'd be laying in front of the TV watching all these home renovation shows and drawing out my iterations of them, saying I can do it better.
Wonderful. So what was your first job in construction? Did you go to school for it? Did you work underneath a mentor? How did you get your first start?
So actually, as a kid, the a, a neighbor of ours and a family friend had bought the land and was developing the front half of our neighborhood. So I got a chance at an early age to be able to walk through construction sites and see things going up, and from everything from clearing the dirt all the way through pouring the concrete and the framing going up, and just getting a chance to really see things from an early age. Um, and that was always really fun to me. And then in high school, I got into both wood shop and uh, architectural drafting classes, learning how to use CAD. And from there, got started doing some custom furniture and designing some custom homes, utilizing the skill set I had learned, and even placed at numerous high school state level awards for some of the projects I had built. But all this together, as it had grown, I actually reconnected with our family friend that had built out the front of our neighborhood. And I got a chance to design a build on your lot custom for a client of his, um, up in the Woodlands, or I guess actually Conroe area, right on Lake Conroe and Bentwater. Um, the house itself is not on the lake, and is not touching the golf course, not touching the lake, but it's in the subdivision. And it was, I want to say, back in 2007, 2008, when we designed that house, it appraised at over 500,000 when it was done.
Oh, wow.
And it was only about a 2,800 square foot home.
And so you were lead designer on there, or did they just kind of, was that kind of a delegation that they gave to you to run with? What was the full scope of the responsibility that you had with that one?
I was really lead designer there. They'd found some floor plans they liked. They liked pieces of this, pieces of that, and they bought the lot and said, "Well, this is the space we've got to work with. This is what we like. Can you help us create something that fits?" And so we created a floor plan that fit exactly what they wanted, and got everything done, and we're going through the approval process, and months kept going by, and nothing was happening. Nothing was moving forward. And so I reached out and was like, what's going on? Shouldn't we have broken ground by now? Only to find out that they didn't think that there was anything they could do because the homeowners association was not approving the plan that we had created. Because the original design of the plan, they wanted a mother-in-law suite over the garage for the client's aunt that lived with them. And so the original design they wanted had the stairwell going to a separate door, completely separate from the house. And so I sat down and put together some proposals for it, how to keep the plan that they wanted, but modify it to where it no longer had you no longer had to go outside to get to the second floor, and created an optional plan that the clients actually loved the layout of more so than the original plan they wanted. And so we moved forward, got the revisions submitted, and within less than a week, they had an approval from the homeowners association. So that was fun for me, just being able to dive in and help, really be able to help someone create their dream, and then modify what they wanted to obtain approvals.
Yeah, I would think that would be probably obviously, if you really like construction and building, the building process is probably as fun as the designing process. What's your take on that? Do you like the designing? I would imagine that the money comes with being able to find the customer, move the customer into the designing route to find, the customization that they need based on their budget, based on their need, and then the creativity that comes within knowing the materials and the process, that comes following once they kind of set their eyes on a specific layout. What's your what's your preference there? Do you like the designing? Do you like the construction piece? So what's your personal preference?
I like the full scope.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be able to work with a client and help them take their dreams and make their dreams become reality. In fact, because of that thought process, our business has created our motto of where your dreams are our business.
Yeah, I guess, it really, you could love the designing and the construction part equally as well. But, if you don't get to the end and the client is fully satisfied with the outcome and, everything that you initially discussed, I would imagine that's a pretty difficult position to be in.
Absolutely.
So you joined this group, and you got your first kind of big responsibility. It sounds like it was a success.
Yes.
And so did that snowball into other bigger projects? What's the pathway from that project to Planet Smart development?
From that project, I actually went to school at Texas Tech out in Lubbock to study architecture.
What years were you there?
I was there from 2008 to 2013.
Oh, nice. So did you go to the University of Houston Texas Tech game in 2000? I think it was 2010.
More than likely, I actually worked for the stadium for doing stadium operations for, I believe it was 2000. Let's see, yeah, it would have been 2010, 2011.
Yeah,
So
this game would have been in Houston, so you more than likely you'd
oh,
have been in Lubbock at that time, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. We reason I ask is because I was part of a group that stormed the field during that game. It was one of the best games I've ever been to. Anyways, I interrupted you. You went to
Good.
school at Texas Tech.
Yes. Yeah. So I went to school at Texas Tech to study architecture. Um, and once I was in school, I realized that what I understood of architecture wasn't what architecture truly is. And granted, I love architecture and I love seeing how things are built, but I love the concept more of helping clients work up a design and then evolving that design into part of the built environment more so than what the professors at the architecture school at Tech was primarily more focused on the let's make it beautiful and annoy the living daylights out of all the engineers that didn't have to make it work. So I butted heads with my professors quite a bit, especially having a dad who was an engineer and a mom who was a CPA. I looked at it from a perspective of how can I make it look good and function, and yet how can I be budget friendly for my clients? Mm-hmm. And the professors at Tech they didn't see it that way. They acted as if they didn't care what the budget was. Sadly, the mentality of if you can't teach applied very heavily to the professors at Tech at the time.
Or if you go into the government projects, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And, the places with unlimited budgets and I absolutely loved my time at Texas Tech. I have nothing wrong with them. The mentality and the school itself is what drew me in. Some of just the personal beliefs of some of the professors is what I hated.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I think part of the experience as well. You go to school and you have some professors that align with, your goals and, your outlook, and you have other professors that really brush up against, everything that you're about. And, I look back on some of those, and I think that those professors that really, were a challenge, not only just within the workload, but also just personally helped me with, a lot of personalities coming out of school. Is that
Absolutely.
kind of your experience as well?
Oh yeah. So when I was back in 2013, I was actually getting ready to leave school and had an opportunity to move back to Houston. Or I should say I was looking for opportunities to move back to Houston because all my family's here. And at the time, I had a nephew who was just about to turn 3. And so I want to be closer to family. That's part of why I was searching for Houston. I actually ended up moving back to Houston, had a position as an assistant project manager in the facilities and maintenance department for a large scale automotive network that's based here in Houston. And actually ended up writing about a 2,000 page specifications manual to streamline all of their construction projects. About 6 months in, I was laid off. It is what it is. In reality, there was 3 or 4 of us laid off at the time. They were restructuring the department, but in reality, what it felt like was they hired me to write that book, and when the book was done, I was laid off. Mm-hmm. I mean, I started the book a month in, and I was laid off a month after I finished it. And
oh wow!
So, but it was an experience writing a book. I mean, 2,000 pages was quite the feat.
Is that a common thing for a construction company to do, to bring someone in to write like a manual like that?
Yeah. I mean, most of those manuals are written by the architects or engineers to streamline the design. And they were having a new book written for each and every project.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so we ended up writing one that was uniform for all of their projects, because they had over 100 dealerships across the country. Mm-hmm. And so they were looking to uniform things and create a little more streamlined process. From there, I took a position out in Columbus, Texas, working for a large general contractor, leading their design department. Absolutely loved the position. Just realized about 3 years in, I didn't like living in the middle of nowhere. It was one of those situations where, with all my family in Houston, at that point I was now married, and all my wife's family in Houston, we were close enough to town. We were expected to be at everything, but we were far enough from town. No one would come see us. At least if that's the way it felt. And so, we were looking for ways to get closer back into the city. And so from there, I moved to an architectural firm down in Bel Air. Spent about a year there. Actually tried to bring a number of projects into them for design work, and the owner of the company turned down all those leads because they weren't the bread and butter that the company was dealing in. And I'm just like, okay, so you're just gonna not take on work because that's basically on a silver platter for easy money. So at that point, I started looking around. Did a stint with some government related roles, primarily with flood control, and also with other government type positions. And then now, coming out of the 2020 pandemic, ended up starting PlanetSmart Development, dealing in renovations and going back to my roots, with residential construction, and branching into like metal buildings and small commercial space interior construction as well.
Yeah, let's talk about PlanetSmart Development. So it sounded like you had quite a bit of business coming into that other project that you were working with, and so that I would imagine transitions into the ability to bring in new business to start this new venture. What was some of the signs that you saw, just as a future business owner, that just told you, okay, this is the next path for me. I want to start this business. I want to put my name on the wall. And so this is, what kind of led you to make that decision to start the business?
So I've always, from an early age, said I wanted to own my own business and determine my own success. I never was keen on the idea of working for someone and watching them succeed while I'm, sitting here making pennies. In fact, and so in fact, one of the positions I've had, I was working for a company that the owner of the company was extremely ungrateful. He got to the point where you'd come back from working with a client, just measuring their space to get an idea of how much, so you could write up an estimate and know how much material to include. He'd be sitting at your desk yelling at you saying, how'd you sell it for? Like, I haven't even written the estimate yet. I just did the measurements. And there's other times that he'd just push you out of the way and take over the clients. And then when it was time to go out and measure them, he'd send you back out. I'm like, so you're going to take the commission because you sold the job, but you're going to force me to go do the work for you and not get paid. And I'm just like, okay, there's something's got to change. And it was about that time of frustration that my business partner, who has been in the business for over 40 years doing commercial construction, he mentioned that he was wanting to start a residential construction section. Is wanting to, put some effort into starting another branch, but didn't have the time to deal with it. And so we sat down and talked, and out of that meeting came PlanetSmart Development. So we formally started the company June of 2021, and spent a couple of months working on getting things like websites and business cards, and so all the background stuff that takes time when you're starting a company in place. I ended up started out doing some home advisor leads for a couple of months. That we ended that pretty quickly because home advisor didn't back up any of their claims. We set a $700 per month spend limit on leads, and 2 weeks in, we were stuck with a bill of over $4,000.
Home Advisor is that like a lead generation company for builders, contractors?
Yes.
Okay.
They've recently been bought by Angie's, and there's actually been a suit by the Federal Trade Commission applied against them.
Oh wow! Is it a common one that contractors use, or is it maybe like a new one?
They've been around for many years.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of leads all over social media. Fill out this form, and it links you into their system, and what they end up doing is a customer will fill out a lead information, and they'll sell that same lead to like between 5 and 10 other contractors.
Yeah, within my insurance background, I'm fairly familiar with how that process works. And so if you are I would say just a business owner in general and use internet leads, I think that there's probably a separate conversation that we could go just over that process, how that works. And because same thing within the insurance side. I mean, I think we're around 2004, 2005 is kind of when the online lead generation started. If you got in early, within, I would say, 5 years of that, there was a lot of arbitrage between those that knew how to work them, those that didn't. But now it's, I mean, there's some businesses that I know that are pretty profitable off of internet leads, but I would be curious to know the process within the contracting side of how that works in comparison to say like the insurance side. Typically you're looking at volume, number one, and then you're looking at a tremendous amount of time with call follow up, and then even some automation lead follow up things that your company has to put together. Even on the commercial side, I've seen it where, some of those leads are almost $600, per face-to-face appointment. So it gets incredibly expensive, and you're really just hoping to break even at some point so that you can use it for even just marketing or to fill a pipeline, to fill a void. Is that kind of your experience with that?
Similar. So for us, we were getting the average cost of leads when we were using that system was between $115 and $150.
Mm-hmm.
But that was what was being charged to, 5, 10 possible contractors that were now all competing to obtain this one client.
Yeah.
And
how did the client feel about getting, 5 or 6 different contacts off of their input online?
There was a number of them that were very unhappy about it. A number of times that I got chewed out over the phone. It was like, my phone has been blowing up for the last 30 minutes, but ever since I put in this information, I just wanted contact from one person. And I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am. That's the system that's out there. We're just trying to help you out and make your dreams come to reality. So now that we've gotten away from that system, we've actually connected with another company through the Howdy Houston program, Evan Andrews with Andrews Media, who I believe had a showcase a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we just launched, I think it was about a week ago, we just launched our own marketing campaign utilizing his services.
Beautiful commercial that y'all did. I really liked it. The thing about that is that you always own it. You can run that as many times as you possibly can. And for me, I've noticed that the Facebook lead investment is roughly about the same as as internet leads when we're utilizing internet leads. So like, insurance internet leads run roughly around $10 to $15, per entry. or more. It depends on quality, and so it depends on a variety of different reasons. But I saw it around 10 to 15. But the cool thing about Facebook marketing is that I would imagine that, especially within the contracting side, you may get that same ROI investment as the purchase, but you're not shopping it with another 5 to 6 other contractors, and they're people that see you and your brand. And so at the very
Absolutely.
least, you're getting in front of people's faces. Um, any short-term success from that commercial ad?
We've short term, we've received leads from, I think, three potential clients. Haven't closed any of those leads yet, but we're working hard to get in touch with them and get things moving. But yeah, it's all about the game.
Yeah.
I will say, ever since between connecting with Evan and Vander's Media and connecting with this group, we've started picking up referrals from realtors that are part of the group and other companies. I actually had a meeting this morning there was a referral from a metal building company that we utilize quite a bit. In fact, I've been working with this metal building company off and on for 10 years. And so I had a referral from them for a company here in town that's looking to expand. And so many companies like this metal building company, Schulte Building Systems, they manufacture the building but they do not offer erection services. Similarly, 99% of their sales they require to be done through a general contractor. So like if a client contacts them directly, they're going to turn around and refer to a potential, to a contractor like us to reach out to them, set up an appointment, go verify what it is the client's looking for, put everything together in a package to sell the project. And then, of course, out of professional courtesy, I return the request of the order to them.
So let me ask you this: we had a nice conversation about home insurance claims, and but I want to talk a little bit about materials and cost of materials, and because from what I've read and watched and had conversations about it, it seems like the cost of materials has had a pretty steady decline over the last year or so. Are you seeing that on your end? What's your not that it's it's a good thing when costs are low, because I would imagine that you get more people have the ability to purchase, but with inflation being where it is, I would maybe say like a little bit of an offset. But what's your take on current cost of materials, cost of, say, where a new bathroom would be last year and compared to this year, or even, say like a barn dominium, for those that are looking to purchase those metal buildings, similar costs, lower cost, increased cost?
From this year versus last year, I'd say things are about similar. There's been some materials like lumber that have finally started coming back down. There's other materials that are climbing and have climbed so much that it really balances out what we were looking at last year. Based on, so I know, back 2006 to 2010, you could do a custom build home for in the range of $100 a square foot ground floor and around $60 to $75 a square foot for second level. Today, you're looking 180 to 200 a square foot ground floor and probably about 170 to 190 for second floor. It cost over the last 10, 15 years, costs are basically double.
Yeah, I've noticed that on a replacement cost within our insurance, our replacement cost calculations, and then also, I do a little bit of real estate. I want to say I've been on close to 100 home showings within the last 7 years, 7 years, last 7 months, and yeah, I mean I'm seeing roughly around that 150, 160 listing price and RCT replacement for you know home purchases.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're saying that the custom build are roughly around 170 to 180, I would say that's pretty close to what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
which is interesting. I think lumber costs have gone down, but when you're looking at like siding, not siding, but the insulation costs, some of these other things that you don't really think too much about, those are still in pretty high demand.
Yes.
Wow. Um,
That and even things like tile. You
mhm.
know, surprisingly, I'd say probably 80% of the manufacturers and the plants where your tile is made, whether it's ceramic, porcelain, um, it doesn't matter, are either Mexico, Italy, Spain, um, or like over in the Asian area, like, you know, India, China, Taiwan. So you're talking, other than your products coming from Mexico, majority, which is probably only about 20% of the tile market, majority of the tile is coming from overseas. And so there's been massive increases on just the price of tile because of supply chain and the cost of shipping.
Let me ask you this because I've had this feedback from clients as well. Um, have you seen materials in lower quality come up where it used to be higher quality when you're looking at things like um, drywall, for instance? I've had some issues, or I've had some clients say that some of their drywall has had to be replaced because of the quality that was received. Are you seeing it? So since there's high demand, since there's kind of a push to get push like an output increase to meet that demand, are you seeing the quality of materials depreciate versus you know in the past years?
On some products, yes. Other products, no. Um, there's a lot of companies out there that they the company itself has a set standard of what they expect the product they're producing to represent.
Mhm.
And so they're keeping the quality of their product where it's at. They're just prices are going up because they either it's either more expensive for them to produce at that quality, two, more expensive to deliver the products at that quality, or three, they're just having trouble getting enough raw materials to make the volume of that product at a quality that they expect. Now, there are some companies out there that are going to a cheaper method of manufacturing, and thus it relates to customers getting a lower quality product.
Mhm.
It really depends on the company. I know for us with Planet Smart Development, what I've had a number of people say, well, your costs are too high. Well, costs are high, but I have a set level of expectation of what I expect my clients to receive and what I expect to have as a following with our company. I'm not going to cheap out on the quality materials just to win a job.
Jeff, tell me a little bit about some of the projects you have going on, some of the things that you're looking at with the company, here in the next few years. So you just talk about some of the good things going on and some of the challenges that you're seeing and some of the areas that, if a customer's watching and is maybe doing a project, something that you would be in line to help fulfill, whether that's, on, uh, you know, new construction or if that's for business owners, remodels. So give us an idea of where the company's currently at, what it's looking at within the next few years, and things that you can help clients with right now.
So at the present time, in addition to myself, I've got two other people helping with on the sales side. So we've got a team of 3. We currently, 2 of us live in the northeast side, and one lives in the northwest side. So we've got the manpower to take care of any customer's request. We strive to source all of our materials from local vendors. And excuse me. But our main goal is to take care of our clients and make their dreams become reality. Really, the way we've broken things down, we've got a tier 1 on a residential side, I should say. We've got a tier 1 project, which is what I classify as your basic flooring and painting. Especially with you being involved in the real estate markets, the number one thing sellers try to do to make their home sell better over their neighbors, and the number one thing that buyers do after they buy a home, is new flooring and new painting in order to make the space look fresh, smell fresh, etc. So that we that's a huge part of our market. Just they're quick term projects, typically things that, depending on the size of the house, we strive to have a project like that done in and out done within a week. Then we've got a phase 2, or what I call a tier 2, which gets into like a bathroom renovation or a kitchen renovation. A lot of the homes we're seeing a lot of homes in this across the city that people might have inherited or bought that are older and are looking to update them, especially with everything going on with HGTV and all the flipper flop trends. A lot of homes that are beginning to come into that sector where people are looking to update them and change them up. So tier 2 would be renovating a kitchen or a bathroom, but keeping the existing layout, not affecting any structural changes. Tier 3 would be getting into taking out walls, opening up floor plans, getting more that open concept design that everyone wants in today's market. More than likely, that's going to include some kitchen renovations as well. But ideally, that's keeping plumbing where it's at. Tier 4 is going to get involved in actually physically moving the plumbing or doing an addition to the home. That's going to be one of your more extensive projects. So I'm excited right now because we've got one project that we're finalizing the numbers on right now. That is just that. The family inherited the home. It's currently a 900 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. We're going to be ripping the roof off and adding a second floor to it. When we're done, it's going to be a little over 1,600 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom.
Oh, wow. So how wide is it? It's wide enough to put a second story and not just extend on the first story?
Yeah. So the house is about 25 feet deep and about 45 feet wide.
Wow.
And so we're going to be building a second floor that it covers the entire back half of the house. So it'll be about 12 foot by about 45 foot addition.
Are homeowners typically okay with you, cataloging the project and kind of using kind of before and after pictures, things like that? Do you ever get pushback for using those with, marketing? Obviously you want to keep, the homeowner give them their privacy, but do they ever give pushback for using some of those, photos?
We have not had issues with that at this point.
Because I would really like to see that one when it's done. That sounds pretty cool.
It's fun. We're going to be getting a drone and taking some video of it in progress as we're moving through it. Our goal is to have that one once we get everything on site and can actually start. Our goal is to go from start to finish in over the course of about 10 to 12 weeks.
Wonderful. Jeff, let's go ahead and sign out, sir. If someone's watching, tell them, how they can get a hold of you. And I believe your primary target is around the north side of Houston. Is that correct?
Yes. So we will work with clients anywhere from Galveston to Huntsville, Baytown to Sealy. But based on where our staff currently lives at, our paid marketing and where we're targeting is going to be north of I-10. So, ranging from Katy around to Humble, Kingwood, encompassing Cypress and Jersey Village, Spring, Woodlands, Conroe, Tomball. Some of those major areas that are have a nice affluent neighborhood and can actually have homes that can justify the cost of some renovations today in today's market. The big thing that we're looking for is clients that want renovations to be done. The other big thing, it's June 13th. We are right into the start of hurricane season. We want to make sure we live in a market that gets hit with hurricanes pretty either not necessarily the direct hit in the last few years, but the outer bands and the winds, and that alone causes some significant damage. And my experience is that when a client experiences that, they're just in complete shock and awe, and they don't know who to turn to. And so they're looking to have their space taken care of and put back to the way it was before the damage. One, as quick as possible, and two, done right. Unfortunately, when those storms happen, you have a huge flood of contractors coming in from out of town. And I know we talked about this more in that panel discussion about insurance claims. So I definitely recommend anyone watching to go check out that video as well, to get more information on that. But we do offer free insurance negotiation contract or projects, obviously with a goal of obtaining that work at the end of the project and once everything is settled out with the insurance. The other thing,
do you do I hate to interrupt, do you do roofs? I don't think I asked that last. I know that roofing is kind of its own entity, outside of just general contracting, but you do roofs as well?
We can do roofing, yes.
Okay. I apologize for interrupting.
It's not necessarily one of those we're going to go out and market solely that we're looking to do roofing. Mm-hmm. But we will do roofs. We're not going to turn away a customer, because our goal is to create a relationship with customers and create a following to where you as a homeowner, you need something done on your house, you call us, we take care of it.
Gotcha.
So we've got relationships, we've got roofers, we have people that do solar panels for us. Mm-hmm. We've got plumbers, we've got electricians. The only things that we sub out are going to be plumbing and electrical because of state license requirements. Some of our growth plans are to get to a point that we can bring in-house plumbing and electrical with licensed trades to do that. Some of the other growth points that we've got and goals is to expand to have, right now we've got 3 people. My goal is to expand to, between 8 and 10 salespeople, and ideally have at minimum one person in like 8 different sectors of Houston, mm-hmm. to where we can cover more people in the Houston area and be able to take on more work without stressing like drive times to get to clients. But, our website is www.planetsmartdevelopment.com. We do have financing available up to $250,000, terms as low as 3.99, and payments up to 12 years. They're all with approved credit. There's an application right on our website for that. Before you even fill out an application, there's a slide bar calculator to where you can say, well, I think I want to spend $100,000. I think I can get approved for 5.9%. And I want to go 8 years. And it's going to tell you what your estimated payment is. And that's all without even touching your credit.
So you can go up to 8 years on the financing through your company?
Up to 12.
Up to 12. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Jeff, I appreciate everything, sir. You've been a wonderful guest on both the panel discussions and on our showcase here. I wish you all the luck here in the next in the upcoming months until the end of the year, and look forward to seeing some of these projects that you have outlined. I've had a chance to talk about a few of them, and yeah, I really do like what you're doing, like what your team's doing, and just I think your mindset in general with customer service and how the job is supposed to be done correctly is the right way to go. In a sea of companies that you have no idea, what their background is. I think it's always amazing talking to a business owner here locally that can take care of Houstonians. So, Jeff, with that, I will wish you adieu here, and we'll be launching this video here within the next week or so.
I certainly do appreciate it, Chris. And just as a sign off, especially leading into hurricane season, if you haven't reviewed your home insurance policy in the last 5 years, contact Chris and get your insurance policy updated to match current inflation. There's tons of people that get hit with damage from a storm, and their policy was written 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, and their insurance does not cover the full damage of their home.
I think that's a great point, sir. I'm going to make a quick video on that, just outlining within the last, what we're seeing within the last year. I appreciate that input there. Jeff, have a wonderful rest of the day, sir.
Will do. You have a great evening too.